Thank you everyone for coming, and here we are learning all about CanAvenue. So what do we have up for today? This is our agenda. We're going to talk about what is CanAvenue, and you see it's shortened here to CanAv, but it is CanAvenue. Who is CanAvenue for? What you need to know as an instructor or program manager who is already familiar with Avenue. What is your role in CanAvenue? Do you have a role? We're going to look at some e-modules, and we're going to have a tour and show you what we have been working on, and then we will have a Q&A. Now, I see from the questions that people had asked when you were registering that, and I think we hit all of these questions with responses during the session, and if we have more that come up, we'll be happy to answer them as they come along. So let us begin. What is CanAvenue or CanAv? Well, CanAv is a new cousin to Avenue. And I use the word cousin because we know a cousin is sort of a person that's belonging to the same extended family. And this is what CanAvenue is. So to be more specific, it's a standalone learning resource, and it's for independent learners. Okay, we're going to talk more about this as we go along today. It's an informal as opposed to a formal language learning solution. Many of us are teaching in formal language learning settings, and we're using Avenue. This CanAvenue is informal. And it allows learners to interact only with content, so not instructors, not classmates. Again, this focus will be on independent learners. So, knowing these three things, let's compare it to Avenue, and we're going to look at some things that are the same. So, what is similar between Avenue and CanAvenue? Well, they're both online platforms, and they are available online and available anytime. It's free for English language learning students. They both practice 4 skills: speaking, writing, listening, reading. They both deal with Canadian themes. The content, some of it, is derived from Avenue e-units. And the students, either on Avenue or on CanAvenue, both have access to a grade book to review their grades. So these are the items in which the two platforms, what they share together, they have those similar attributes. How it's different. In CanAvenue, there are no classes. There are no groups. There are no cohorts, and there are no teachers in any capacity. So that is very different from Avenue. The information and resources that are in CanAvenue are mostly CLB aligned. And we've taken 2 stages. We've got stage 1, which is loosely around CLB 3-4, and stage 2, which is loosely 5 to 7, CLB 5 to 7. There is no separate area to separate link from ESL resources. It includes in CanAvenue an extensive reading library. Now, you've probably known in Avenue over the past year or so, we have been working with various extensive reading libraries, but nothing will prepare you for going into the extensive reading library that we have been working on to develop. In addition to extensive reading, there is also an extensive listening library. So if you want to practice as an ESL student, extensive reading or extensive listening, this will have the resources for you. Also in CanAvenue is an independent language learning orientation. Now you may have seen some of that on Avenue, but as you will see on our tour, it helps learners learn independently. Think of language learning options like Duolingo or Babbel, where you sort of work on your own pace and it helps you. This is along the same theoretical and pedagogical lines as CanAvenue. So, who is CanAvenue for? Here is actually quite a long list. It is for prospective immigrants before they arrive in Canada. It is for newcomers on waiting lists for formal language training. So formal language training would include Avenue and our students who come and get assessed and sign up for lessons. This is highlighted, and I'll come back to why it's highlighted in a moment. CanAvenue is for learners who are in formal language training, such as LINC or ESL programs, and they need or want additional materials to study. They want supplementary curriculum. It is for newcomers that prefer to learn autonomously, or maybe they have formal language training barriers. It is for newcomers who have exhausted their language training eligibility and still want to develop their skills. So this may be people who have completed courses in Avenue and they no longer, or they become citizens and they're no longer eligible, but they still have things to learn. They still want to learn and grow. This will address this population. It is for refugee claimants, and it is also for temporary foreign workers. In the past year, the team at New Language Solution has identified these groups of people who we cannot reach on Avenue because they haven't been processed and signed up for formal language training programs. We understand that waiting lists are long, sometimes thousands of people at times, and we don't want to put off students waiting for formal classes, waiting for teachers to be available to run more classes or learn in a blended or online way. So this is what CanAvenue and who CanAvenue was designed for. So what do you need to know as an Avenue teacher or program manager? CanAvenue has no connection with Avenue. Yes, they're cousins, but think of them as distant cousins. Okay. Nothing at all transfers from CanAvenue to Avenue. So grades can't be moved from one platform to the other. Completion of activities can't be traveled from one platform to the other. As a teacher, if you have a student who is working in CanAvenue, you cannot see the work they do. You cannot see any progress reports. Separate cousins, they live in different cities. In CanAvenue, there is no e-portfolio like we all enjoy so much in Avenue. There are no PBLA designing of lessons. There is no student data to see even if your students have registered. There's no tracking. It's a completely separate system. In fact, you need a different login for CanAvenue. We will be adding into Avenue a block on the side where our other blocks are in Avenue, where we have a calendar and those sorts of blocks. There will be a new block added in Avenue that has a link to CanAvenue. That will be coming soon, and you can look for announcements and see that in your course when it's coming. And your students might have some questions about that, and obviously teachers will have some questions about that. If you are interested in seeing the material that is on CanAvenue, even though you won't be joining as a teacher, you can join as a student and see what is there. And you will have an opportunity in our session today to see how easy it will be to sign up and see the materials that are there. You should also know that there is some content overlap with Avenue. For example, there is the Canadian citizenship course that is revised to make it all completely independent learning. The course about formal language training in Canada has been revised and broken down, and Sepideh will be here to show us what this looks like in the new CanAvenue system. And we have added courses in there called English Practice. And for those of you who have been with Avenue from the days when it was called EduLink, you will probably recognize some of this as old courseware that has been revised. We have been able to work on and update and provide some activities that can be worked through independently. That is simply called English Practice. And those are divided separately into different levels, level 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And finally, the pronunciation course, which Sepideh and Kevin Simpson have worked on, has been revised and is available to students, again, in an independent way. But some of that content will be the same. How they approach and interact, it will be different. So you need to know as a teacher that there is this out there. So what is your role in this? As a teacher, you can refer students to learn informally on CanAvenue as well as formally through your class. As I said, there's going to be that widget with a link to CanAvenue. You can refer students for extensive reading and extensive listening libraries on CanAvenue. Those books that the team has worked on for the past year, and the team at New Language Solutions is, John Allen, Sepideh, Paul Carter, myself, other team members who have contributed, and there are quizzes for them to test their comprehension and answer other quiz type questions. You can inform students that they can refer their friends and relatives to CanAvenue to learn independently. So maybe they're eligible, but they have relatives who have not yet been able to come, are not yet eligible for a newcomer program, and anyone can sign up on CanAvenue to learn. Anyone in Canada, anyone really in the world. So you can also inform students when they have maxed out on their usage of language learning that they can still access CanAvenue for additional learning. And finally, when you talk to students or tell them about this resource, you can let them know that there are no teachers on CanAvenue and that there is no support for learners. We really stress that this is for independent use. Now, we have some plans that may include some way to contact or set up some discussions among moderated discussions among learners, but that is not something that is quite off the ground yet. So just outlined your role, and you're probably wondering what e-modules are here. So one of the items that's currently in process is using Achieve's OSA form for online self-assessment that lets students assess their a couple of their language skills to help them self-level where they should be with the levels in CanAvenue. As I indicated earlier, there are two broad proficiency levels. We've got CLB 3-4, and we have 5 to 7. And we've also added some literacy books, specifically for family members of people who go to CanAvenue to learn. Different courses include, as I mentioned, extensive reading and extensive listening libraries, the English pronunciation practice, citizenship test preparation, and the English practice, which are essentially the updated legacy skill builders, which we created pre-PBLA. There is also an orientation to independent language learning and an orientation to formal language learning. So for these people who are on wait lists, before they go into formal language learning, they can find out all about it on CanAvenue. So we are now going to take a tour, and I am going to stop sharing my screen while Sepideh begins to share her screen, and we'll take you in for a tour. So Sepideh, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That was a great introduction, and I'm just going to jump right into CanAvenue. In your browser, you type in CanAvenue, and this will bring you to the landing page. So scrolling up and down, you will see information about the platform, and you will also see some courses which are available. But going back up, you will see a video in the middle, which is a general overview of the platform and what generally it includes. So let's play the video. It's not too long.
Hello, and welcome to CanAvenue.ca, the place to learn Canadian English online, anywhere, anytime, and from any device. CanAvenue is a self-study website. There is no teacher involved. This means that you are in control of your learning. High beginner, intermediate, advanced? Choose from hundreds of lessons. Improve your English and learn about life in Canada. CanAvenue offers so many opportunities for you to study and practice all 4 English skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. You can even do special pronunciation exercises. To get started, take the free English test or choose your own level. Start learning now with CanAvenue.ca, funded by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC.
Okay, so this was our virtual teacher who is available across the platform in all of the courses, and she gives instructions about how to complete the activities in the course, and generally explains what the course is about and how to navigate through the course. So together with our IT team, we try to make a really simple sign-in process, or sign-up process rather. So if you already have an account, you just click here to sign in. But if you don't, you just click here to create an account. We try to use simple language, which is easy for an intermediate level learner to understand. The first page after they click on that button is a terms and conditions of use page. The users read this, and if they agree, they click on this button, which takes them to the next page, the privacy policy. Again, they read the policy. If they agree, they click on next. And the final form, again, they read. If they agree, they tick this box and they create on next. This will take them to a very simple form where they only need to provide their first name, last name, email address, and to choose a password. And once this is done, they click here to verify they are not a bot. And of course, they have the CAPTCHA. And once they're done, they click on Create My Account. So I'm going to cancel this because I already have a student account, and I'd like to show you how this works with that account. So this is my fake student who is already enrolled in many of the classes on CanAvenue. So this is what the student will see. Now, please note that if it's your first time going in here, you may not see these cards here. You'll need to choose the courses and then enroll yourself. And it's just a standard self-enroll process on Moodle. But for this learner who is already enrolled in these courses, there are 8 different cards or courses for formal language training in Canada. 4 of these cards are designed to be suitable for stage 1 learners, like Nancy said, for CLBs 3 to 4, roughly speaking. And the courses for stage 2 learners are roughly for CLBs 5 to 7 or higher. I'll just scroll down and show you all the courses, and then we will explore some of them. So these come in 4 different pieces: Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Moving down, we have a 4-part citizenship preparation course. Again, this is very similar to what we already have on Avenue. It's just tweaked a little bit so the content is suitable for independent learning. These 4 parts are not dependent on each other, meaning that none of them is a prerequisite to the other, but because the course was so long, we just broke it down to 4 parts so it's more manageable to complete. Moving down, we have the pronunciation course. Like what Nancy said, this is exactly what we have in Avenue, but we had to revise some of the activities, so no teacher grading will be necessary. These are the 5 link courses that we used to have on Learn IT to Teach. These have been revised also to fit the needs of independent language learners. The newer parts that were developed for CanAvenue were the listening library, stage 1, stage 2. Then we have an extensive reading library for stage 1 and stage 2. And we also have a corner for literacy reading. Since these are new, I'm going to start with these first. And we're going to click on the extensive reading library for stage 1 so you can see the resources available there. Now, once you click on any of these courses, like I said, the virtual teacher is present, and the learners or the users could click on the Start Here video to see the virtual teacher and to listen to instructions about how to navigate that course. Now, this is a longer video, so I'm going to skip this video, but just to show you what it looks like. This is about 5 minutes, so we'll just skip that one. But once you are in the course, of course, you can open the navigation menu to make it a little bit easier. And going back to the library main page, you can see that we have several book series available. We have a series for Canadian celebrations, Canadian city snapshots, Canadian life, First Nations, national wonders, our environment, and Visit Canada. So as you see, all the content is focused on Canadian matters. And if we explore each of these series one at a time, you will see what kind of content is included under each card. So each card represents a book series. For example, in the Canadian Celebration series, you will see book titles which are all about the different celebrations which are held across the country. The book series is not very large for now, but we are adding more titles on a regular basis. So you can keep checking in and you will be able to see the titles as they are added. Now, each of these thumbnails represents a book. If you click on the thumbnail, you will be taken to our third-party app where the book resides. And these are all designed to be as closely, in shape as a book as possible. It's impossible to have printed versions, but at least we wanted readers to have that book experience. So these are all converted into flip books. You click on the arrow and you're taken to the next page. All the content is controlled for CLB levels. This particular series is for stage 1, CLBs 3 to 4. So we try to make it as simple as possible. And many of the pictures are included in order to build knowledge around the new vocabulary. We also control the length of the sentences to make sure they are not too difficult for the level. And we also ran all the text through an online graded text editor to make sure that we stay within the level. And by the way, Nancy and I have a webinar tomorrow on Tutela to show you how we use that online text editor to create the right level for our books. Anyway, so moving, towards the end, all of the books have 2 links at the end. One link is to an optional quiz. Learners can click on this and take a quiz, which is 7 questions, and there's a time limit, and there's only 1 attempt allowed. So this is optional, first of all, because the whole idea of extensive reading is reading for pleasure, and adding a quiz would add 1 layer of not being so pleasurable to the experience. So that's why the quiz is optional. And another reason why there's only 1 attempt allowed is that we didn't want people to be obsessed with achieving the perfect score. This is not about passing and failing. It's really about reading the book and enjoying the experience. So once they take the quiz, it's either pass or fail. No big deal. They can go back to the library and read another book. Now let's go back here to see the book again. Of course, there were all sorts of navigation. You saw the navigation menu, there's an arrow, there's back and forth, but just in case someone is on the book and they want to return to CanAvenue, they can click on the link here. And at the end of the book, we have all the publication details. If we have used images, we have linked them here. We have tried to make sure that we credit all the sites that we use, and all of the books are free to use for everyone. So back to our CanAvenue book series. So these were the ones for Canadian celebrations. The next book series, for now we only have 1 title in this, and it's Canadian City Snapshots. These are books which, again, are in progress. They're not ready yet, but the first title that was ready is available here. And it's mostly information about the major cities in Canada that newcomers choose to live and the kind of services that are available for newcomers in these cities. It could be newcomer services, it could be language services or universities, housing information, job market information. So all kinds of information that newcomers might need when they settle in a new city. The next series we have are Canadian Life. So this is a fun series of books about individuals or families who live in Canada and something happens in their everyday life. So maybe they're out for a hike and they see a bear. Now, what do they do? So there's a dilemma. What do they choose? What kind of problems they face and what kind of solutions they choose for their problems? There's a short summary of each of these books. And you can see we have a good number of them here. So you have the same flip book, and then they flip through the pages, and then there's a link to a quiz and a link back to CanAvenue. And the next series are our First Nations series, which were written with close collaboration with Indigenous subject matter experts. And we have some stories and we have books about First Nations culture and history. So just scrolling very quickly. The next series is National Wonders. And these are about the natural landmarks of Canada. Again, short summary, stage, CLB, and word count is included as the other series as well. And a good number of titles here. Now moving down to our next one, we have Our Environment, book series about environmental issues that Canada is facing right now, like air pollution, endangered animals, global warming, and whatnot. And finally, a Visit Canada series, which is mostly like a tour guide. You know, like those Lonely Planet books, which are available for people who want to travel to a city. It's never as detailed as that, but it just gives you some basic information about what you can see in that city, where you can stay, what you should eat, and what are the good seasons to visit, what you can do in each visit. So it's general information about touring Canadian cities. So we have a number of them here. And like I said, all of the books that I just showed you do have a stage 2 counterpart, which is longer and obviously more complex in terms of language. Now, going back to our homepage and the courses that we have, let's scroll down. Okay, and so like I said, stage 1 and stage 2 extensive reading are very similar to each other. And so are stage 1 and stage 2 listening or extensive listening libraries. Let's take a look at stage 1 first. Right, so you will see the same outline. You have a start here video with the virtual teacher, and then you have the same themes. Now, clicking on any of these themes, like the Canadian celebrations themes, will take you to the library. So you see it's almost identical as the other, as the reading library you just saw. The only difference is that this does not link to a book. Instead, users need to click on the title, and this will take them to a slideshow, which is a narrated video.
Calgary Stampede. The Calgary Stampede is a big event. It happens in July in Calgary, Canada. People call it the greatest outdoor show on earth. It is 10 days long.
Okay, so the book is a little longer. I won't play the whole book, but you get the idea. So the slideshow is timed to match the narration, and the person who's reading the book is not a Canadian native English speaker. And this was done on purpose because we wanted to include different varieties of English in our audiobooks. So the user gets familiar with different types of English. And this happens all through the series. Like each book is given to a different reader. We have readers with Russian as their first language, Chinese as their first language, Farsi, French, and of course English as their first language. And we try to incorporate male and female voices, so the users are exposed to a variety of different accents. At the end of the slideshow, there is a link here, and this link takes the user to the same quiz that we just saw for the extensive reading. And they can click here to take the quiz. Again, there's only one attempt allowed, and this is totally optional. If they don't want to take it, that's fine. And going back to our home page, there's one more corner that is new compared to Avenue, and then I will go over as much time as we have for the other courses. So this is a literacy course. And these books were created for those users who are probably going to use the platform with their family and need a lot of support. The books are very short. The sentences are very short. We try to incorporate very simple language and a lot of white space to make them as easy as possible. Now you will see that we still don't have that many themes, as many as we had on our other extensive reading libraries, but hopefully that will change over time. Now when you take a look here, you will see the available books for our literacy levels, and if you click on any of these, it will take you to the same platform where we had our other flip books. The only difference between a literacy book and a non-literacy book is that the text is supported with audio. So while they are reading the text, they are also able to listen to it.
Take the bus.
And you can see lots of white space, lots of images, and audio accompanying all the text.
Andre is at the bus stop. Andre waits for the bus.
And so it goes on to the end, and at the very end, again, there's a quiz with a link, and there is also a link to take them back. Okay, going back to all courses, I'm going to do a quick review of some of the updated courses that we used to have on Avenue, but they are now here. And scrolling down, we have, these are the link levels, like I said, we have level 3 to level 7. Just a quick overview of level 3. So all these activities had to be revised so they are suitable for independent language learning. And you will recognize these old themes that we have in Link. And if you click on any of these, this one, for example, you will see a list of activities. Now, these activities, typically we have activities for all 4 skills: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And so some of them are, for example, the old SCORM packages that we used to have there, but we also have some newer activities like crossword puzzles, and we also have the new Poodle activity, which is an activity for vocabulary exercise. So scrolling down, you see there's a lot of variety in the activities which are included here. You have H5Ps, you have all sorts of activities. However, if you go to higher levels, for example, let's take a look at our Link 5. Because the level is a little higher, we don't have that many small activities. Instead, we still have this one, for example. we have most of the SCORMs that we already had in the Link Legacy courses. And the reason is that these SCORMs are already all-inclusive. They have writing, they have listening, some of them even have speaking activities included in them. So we didn't really feel the need to break these down into smaller activities at the moment. So we do have the keywords here, the same glossary activities which were present in the older courses. And again, we have a new Poodle activity, and the rest are SCORMs. So back to our homepage. And scrolling down, we have the pronunciation course. And for those of you who have not used the Avenue pronunciation course yet, this would just serve as a summary to this course. We have 10 different units that cover the most frequent 10 vowels and the most problematic 10 vowels of English. And we have a lot of listening, speaking activities around these sounds. So a student is free to choose whichever unit they want to improve their pronunciation of that particular sound. Then there are sections where the learners can compare the sounds of vowels and see animations for each vowel and how it is produced in the vocal tract. There are sections for consonants. And we also have sections that we are still working on for stress and blending. And if any of you have used the course on Avenue, you would know that there was a lot of teacher involvement in each of these units. For every activity, there should be a teacher that would go back and listen to the students' recordings and grade them. And once the teacher feels confident that the learner has learned well enough, then they will open the next activity, or rather unhide the next activity for them. But we didn't really want to have teacher involvement in CanAvenue, so these are now self-directed. So I'm a little bit conscious of our time. I'll just go through our next redesign course, the Canadian Citizenship course, which let's do part 1. Like I said, this is divided into 4 sections. They are not related to each other, and people do not have to take them going from 1 to 2 and 3 and 4. So there's a start here video, which is the same virtual teacher, but we also have some how-to videos. And the reason is that other than a general overview of the course that we wanted the users to have, we have a lot of different activities which might be new to someone who has not been on Avenue before. For example, we have reading activities, or we have drag and drop, or build a paragraph, flashcards. So these might be easier for Avenue students, but for CanAvenue students coming here for the first time, we felt they will need to see a video to see how to complete an activity. And clicking on here will open the video.
Activity 3 is a fun drag and drop activity that helps you review the vocabulary in each unit. I'll click on the Activity 3 button in the unit About the Citizenship Test. I'll click on the link now. Use your mouse to drag these words into the correct places in these sentences.
And you see the mouse movement, and we think this can help the new user of an H5P drag and drop activity figure out how to complete it. So going back, the themes are more or less the same as the ones that we have on Avenue. Let's go here. So there we are. Other than these 2, which are more about instructing users how to navigate the course, there are 3 topics where learners can click to complete the activities. Yep, and again, SCORMs and H5Ps and different types of activities are included here, and we do have a review quiz at the end. Right, so I'm aware of our time, and I'm not going to go through these formal language training cards. These are very similar to what we have in Avenue. So I'm going to stop the share here. And I see there are many questions.
A lot of comments coming in, people needing, it looks like, to leave very shortly. This is going to be great. Thank you for the kind comments to that. We are very excited about it. We have been working on this for over a year, and we are happy to share what we have so far. So you're most welcome for this. Thank you for coming and sharing. Reach out to us on the Avenue Teachers Forum, or you'll see that my screen now is just showing our email addresses if you need more information that way. And I want to give a hand to it's not just Seb and I who created these materials. It was a whole team who have been working long and hard to envision this and come up with a solution that reaches the people who need it the most. So thank you all for coming, and look out for that block on your Avenue course and more information to come. Sepideh, any last words before we sign off?
No, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. It's been a pleasure working on this platform, and please do let us know when you start using it, how you feel about it, and what parts you thought worked best and what parts you thought didn't work that well.
Okay, awesome. Again, thank you, everyone. It is now time to end this webinar, but we will see you online.